Hello and welcome. My name is Carron Little and I'm director and founder of Out of Sight Chicago. Today I'm in conversation with Wannapa Pimtong-Eubanks.
Hello.
Hello. Out of Sight is we are residing on the ancestral homelands of the Council of Three Fires. Both Wannapa and myself are coming to you from Chicago. And the Council of Three Fires are the Adwa, the Ojibwe, and the Potawatomi nations. Out of Sight as an organization has been dedicated to working in public space to really cultivate dialogue and discourse around diverse concepts and ideas that our artists are investigating and researching. And part of this, and in my conversation today with Wannapa, we're really going to be talking about how dance practices can be a method of working through trauma. And over the last 2 weeks, it is Saturday, March the 27th, 2021. And over the last 2 weeks, we have witnessed and experienced traumatic violence towards, in particular, towards women's bodies in the USA and in the UK, with the killing of Sarah Everard and the 8 people massacred in Atlanta. And we've tumbled over the last year through the pandemic. We've tumbled from one trauma to the next trauma. And so today's conversation is really talking about how these embodied practices can be a means of actually healing and of recovery. And I'm also going to talk about the public performance symposium that we're organizing at the end of April and the beginning of May, which is really about bringing together world experts to talk about how we can collectively, as a performance community, bring joy, bring surprise, but also bring healing and regrounding to our local communities as we exit out of the pandemic. So I do hope you will join us then, and I'll be talking more about that at the end of today's conversation. But Wannapa Eubanks is a butoh-inspired dance performer who creates movement inspired by personal memories, and she adapts scores to devise interactive performances and solo dance works. Her performances often stem from personal experience or a specific memory that grows into a poetic image that she imbues with the memory of the moment in performing. So I'm going to share. Do you have any thoughts or to share?
A lot of thought. First of all, thank you for having me, and I'm excited to share. I feel like I'm a little nervous because usually my sharing is through my my body, movement that I'm expert with, and I just love it through the butoh. But I hope I'm doing my best to, kind of external out for you today. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So this first piece is entitled Put Yourself in My Shoes, and it is a performance work that she did for Out of Sight in 2018, and it's an interactive public performance piece. And this next piece that we're going to share with you is another performance, a new performance piece that Wannapa did for our first live streaming event that we partnered with Experimental Sound Studio on May 26, 2020, and it's called Reset. And the performance is very much inspired by, it was very much drawing from the inspiration of living through the pandemic as an artist and mother of two children. The work of being a mother in this time of the pandemic is loaded with all the attributes of invisible labor that is that was suddenly enforced upon parents. And so this piece was very, very moving. And so let me bring it up. Do you have a few things you would like to share?
In this upcoming video? I mean, you already said the you know, like the piece will be about, and I found myself as I revisit this video, you know, just to look at it before this interview, this talking, um, is at first I was like, I just don't like to see myself somehow, like from the first performance. But then I just look at it, and there's a part that's kind of like it's really resonate to, and then I kind of deeply sad somehow to see in a way how I'm portrayed at that moment. It's kind of out of body experience. Yeah, it's sad to see like how I feel, like in a way. Yeah.
Well, I think you captured the moment in this piece, but let's share this with the audience. It's entitled Reset by Wannapa Pimtong-Eubanks.
Confused, overwhelmed, tired, hopeless, angry, confused, tired, hopeless, confused, angry, hopeless, tired, overwhelmed. Lost. Angry, 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 angry.
Okay, happy Saturday with heavy hearts. Sorry,
Hello,
everyone.
and welcome everybody. I was just very struck, how the shadow in that was so powerful there as well. But going back to the first video performance, Put Yourself in My Shoes, can you share with us the story that was behind the inspiration for that piece?
Oh yes. Yeah, I mean, first of all, like to think, to just to get the idea to present like this piece. It's interesting because this event, the incident, has come from the protesting in 1992 in Thailand, when I was still there as a citizen, and I found myself in one night at the happened to be in part of the mob. It's a protest. I don't want to call it a mob because it's a good intention at that moment of all these people who call it as at the time has a name. People call it kind of like, because a lot of it's like people that well educated came together, protest to get this particular guy. He's not politician, but he's a coup d'etat. He's kind of like power up, and he promised the people that he's not gonna take power to be a prime minister, but he betrayed us. He was the prime minister. He put himself. There's some long story, behind that political, but that's the whole point. The betrayal of the promise, and I think at the time we found out later too, like he kind of corrupt big time. So so a result of it, like people came together. And I remember for me to be participate one night is just the night that very close to attack night, with all these, I went there. I believe it's like nighttime. Nighttime is tricky because they send out the army and do it like a war zone with all the barbed wire, all that stuff. It's crazy. But then 17th of May, we call it like a dark, I think it's a Black May. That's what we call at that time. They decide to kill people, to shot people. I mean, they told people like, okay, today it's gonna be what do you call, like curfew? Uh, don't come out after 9, something like that. But protesting, we just want to get it done. So it's end up like the unknown. Now government says like 54 dead, 600 injured, but I just look at it today just to kind of like make sure that I don't miss any information. Actually, the unknown in the Thai information is like 500. 44 name that we knew, but people saw and witnessed like nighttime they carry in the truck of the bodies, and then 1,000 injured. So that's, and then I remember like woke up after the attack and I saw the news, and then I see some of it had kind of like the shoes on the ground with some bloody, in it. And for me, I'm kind of like to think of this piece at the time, and in 2018, something about humanly or humanity, like treating at the time as well. So it's kind of like double inspired for me to do this piece. Yeah.
So, and that was in 1992, yes?
Mhm.
So you witnessed this, you were part of this protest against the government, who sounds quite similar to Trump, actually.
Yeah.
Like this businessman that
Yeah.
put themselves in power. And then you witnessed the massacre, the assassination of
Mhm.
500 people.
Yeah.
One night. And so this performance was a kind of a commemoration to you drew on the memory of this, and do you want to explain how the public the score of the performance and how the public interacted with you?
Mm-hmm. I apologize again. This, I mean, we have like tons of video, but I think we just picked the one that's like kind of expressive, and then it's part of it. But they are the part. I think because there's a saying, say put yourself in my shoe, right? If I say that to you and I say put yourself in my shoe, and then how do you feel? So I flip it. I think that it, to get the public involved, the score is just like kind of like having invite people to come in, and then there's a shoes as mimic as a kind of human, represent like human soul. Um, at least that's how I see it. Invite people to coming in, and I have like a big canvas down there, and I paint it. You see the bucket, so it's kind of like two color, orange and dark green, something like that, and then just paint it on the sole under shoe. I don't know what you call it, sole, right? Yeah, paint it color, and then sometimes I let our participant like pick what do you like whichever you want. So paint it, and then we just pick the shoes, and then we paint, and we just do it together. I'm kind of like leading some just very minimal, simple, moving, just as kind of like walking. It's almost kind of like walking together, and then stamp our footprint on the canvas. And I believe it's like we perform for 3 days, and then it's kind of excited to gather all the souls, as a stamp of each soul to participate. And my as a part of like footprint on the canvas, and I still have it. It was just for me, it's like very inspiring and to me, yeah. And that's how people come in, like kind of to participate it. I got like from the little kid up until like uh, different generation. It was kind of cool.
Yes, and this idea of imprinting the memory, constantly, creating a trace of these personal memories and sharing them. So how are you utilizing your dance practice as a means to process these traumatic events, but also provide a healing process for you and perhaps for the public?
I think for me, with the butoh, like how I found butoh, just almost like when I first got here, when I don't know anything, not so much of language. Even now too, like some of like if I'm contextualized, like that I want to speak out, I found like a movement is probably like my what do you call my go-to. My
Your
go-to.
language.
Yeah, yes. Because articulate it just a little bit like challenge for international, like coming in. But I feel like that's how I connect with butoh the most. I did try out, when I first got here, I did try all the different dance, modern dance, study and then see what I like the most. I love to dance. That's my personal anyway. So I kind of like try to find what kind of dance, that I click with. So I found butoh. I think I started 1998 when I got here earlier, and then 1998 later. It was just like right away. I feel like this is the way that I can express through my body. And before that, I always like danced discotheque and then just find myself like create some dance kind of organically anyway. So it's kind of cool to find something that really an art, to be my medium to talk to the audience, and hopefully not just my trauma, but then my trauma can heal your trauma as well. I just don't honestly, I don't want to just express myself to heal me, but I hope that because the emotion and feeling is so it's kind of like universal. We talk about sad, but people have sadness in a different story, right? But we still sad. But I just hope I can connect, and then we can all like healing together.
Yes, when I witness your performances, and I want to kind of get back to this idea of butoh as a specific dance practice. But when I witness your performances, I think about the social body. You're talking about this collective experience, and how and as an audience member, I'm captivated, but this is transmitted through an embodied exchange. It's an exchange through the live experience. And so I wonder how do you prepare your body to go into that, to really kind of transmit this these memories, but to create this social collective body, because that takes a lot of preparation.
I know that like it take life. It take life. For my personal story, there's a lot of it. Like if you can paint myself, like I'm standing right now, it can be all kind of white, gray, purple, red. Like it's a lot of emotion. Like I found myself I'm kind of like very like a sponge. Um, it's emotional, kind of like an energy coming through. So I kind of beside like my whole experience of my whole life kind of gathering, and then in each piece through the moment that I live through the moment and let it drive me out, because I feel like that's how I get honest. Um, it's it's butoh coming in as a kind of like part of the meditation, help me meditation and use third eye is part of, and white, paint white also. I feel like it kind of helped me get out of myself as well, and then that's how it's kind of neutral it and become white, peace, and then let I feel at the moment, and then it's color just come in at the moment.
I
And
can show
yeah.
an image of that actually. Let's bring it up here. And so this is another performance that you did in 2019 called The Wishing Tree. And this was also based on a personal memory. Do you want to share the memory of this piece?
Yes. It's come from actually my daughter's artwork. I don't know where I put it at, but it's like one day they just send it back home. Usually, like that, like when my daughter is she right now she's in transitioning in the special needs school, so they do like some kind of art class, and then they'll send the piece back. So the piece that I saw, and then I keep like, I just love this one. Usually, it's dot 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 dot, but this one is particular. It's a tree. It's a little piece, and then it's a tree, and then has a little bird on top of the branch. One bird, and it has like a snow, the little sprinkle of snow. It's all kind of like gray mood in a way. So I found it like very inspiring, and and somehow I always want to connect with the audience. I'm just thinking start from tree and bird, and I'm thinking of some kind of connection, like and I always want to do like I love the white crane. How about we do like crane with origami, and then teaching people, and then we just walk together to the I have the tree, I just make a kind of branch in white, and we do the bird all kind of different red, and then we'll just walk in spiral. I use the white stone, and we walk together in like a spiral, and then once it like we go into spiral to the end, which is the tree, and then we put the bird, install it on a tree, and over time, 3 days, it get like more birds, and it's beautiful. That's another one. It's like, think about it. It was just kind of fun, and it's nice to connect with the audience as well.
Yes. And I think that's one of your powers. But thinking about, both you and I have done butoh together over the years, and we've both studied with different people. And I was actually sharing yesterday with a girlfriend of mine how, there was a specific exercise when, you know, I just went along to this workshop that Sarah Zalek was doing years ago. And I thought, oh, I'll just go to this dance workshop for a little bit of different kind of exercise because I was getting bored with the gym. And I had this this physical experience of forgiveness towards my mother. Actually, I have an interesting relationship with my mother, and so, you know, and it was suddenly I've had to do a lot of work, and it became this butoh became this means of me working through my trauma to actually liberate myself and, you know, be you know, really, it's given me tools over the years to really emancipate my body. And I think when we talk about how performance practices and how specifically butoh or dance practices or movement practices can create these are tools for us to develop healing. And I think it's really important that as we come out of the pandemic and reset as a performance piece that you did for us in 2020 was a piece where you utilized dance to provide a healing opportunity, and you've used dance actually throughout this whole time. You've shared some of your experiences with me, and can you talk about how that has been vital for you, especially this year with the pandemic?
Yes, very much. um, so you know, probably like it's a similar experience with other, especially the artists that we didn't get to go out and do and connect to our community. So and I have two kids myself that have to kind of like help them with their remote learning. My daughter, especially, like I have to pretty much her at one on one. So it's, I mean, I'm kind of like learning the other way, you know, more sign language, and then but I miss um, express myself. So all these negative or positive or clutter that coming in doesn't get to go out every day. I feel like I'm, you know, sometimes sometimes I feel like oh my gosh, I'm gonna go like very deep in depression. Like I'm start to like familiar, like I'm okay to be inside all the time. You know, like my family, like, you know, we have like walking like, and they asked me, I was like, no, I'm gonna be here, and I didn't know myself. And I think it's pretty dangerous, quite dangerous. So I have developed something, you know, like life will find a way, right? So of all these, it feel like so heavy over time, and I guess it's to the point that finally done this. Like I insert myself into my daughter's routine that usually like 9 to 10 she's learning, right? And then we have a little break, and then that will be her time of Bluetooth, listening to the sound. Um, so then I just use myself. I hear it a lot of time. She like let it be somehow. I chant it. It just she asked to chant back. So okay, let it be. I was like, okay, you know what? I didn't get any exercise at all. This is so sad. So I just stand up and start to like move, kind of like through the song, and it feel pretty good. You know, like sometimes I feel like I'm just in the moment of like just keep going, do the take care of the kid, cooking, you know, like all that stuff. By the end of the day, I'm just out. my tablet, like whatever it is, I'm just like want to just sit and do nothing, and I skip all that practice and all this stuff. So it's good to I mean, that's how I find the way, and then I got some idea. I recently put my little project. It's called Project Depressed, and I was like, oh yeah, let's do that. When I got like and it's kind of like been helping me to feel that it's kind of like water the plant. So a little bit of this and that kind of helping that I'm not dead. Like I'm still. I have to heal like my soul, my spirit. Like we all have to refresh it somehow.
Yes, and so I think this comes through in the reset performance that you did. The struggle of the pandemic, and the immense pressure and the domestic load that suddenly was put on to women's plates in families around the globe.
Mm-hmm.
And like we can't even imagine the struggle of not only having children but also having children with disabilities and being their 24-hour carer. And how you have used dance and your creativity and kind of being in the out of sight community as a support system for you to really to be this this stream of creativity has been vital and life-giving. So it's 40. So this is the moment when we open it up to questions from the audience. And there's a couple of comments coming in that I do want to share with you. And I think it's Sarah. Lovely. Good morning to you. Thank you for being with us today. It says, to quote you about the trauma, I do think so many embodied exchanges, and this idea of embodied exchanges. And she says, feeling that emotional sponge feeling, struggling with depression, with everything all around. And I think, we are, out of sight is about having these difficult conversations, but also thinking about how we can provide tools and resources, to work through. And I studied feminist philosophy quite young on, which really impacted how I view the world.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking about Julia Kristeva's philosophy of the abject, and when we work through the trauma, we can actually reach enlightenment. But it takes work,
Mm-hmm.
And we all. It's been a deeply struggle. We've had to all struggle in our different ways this year, and Sarah also says, yes, we keep moving and following the thread. So inspired to hear you. Thank you. And the quote is, my trauma can heal your trauma.
Yes.
Wow.
Sarah.
And thinking about that, again, we've been talking about the reciprocity of, and she quite said, embodied exchanges. When you're devising a participatory performance, when you're devising the score, how are you thinking about that act of reciprocity?
Ooh, reciprocity. I have to like do the dictionary. Sorry, can you?
That exchange, the caring exchange, and going back to what Sarah's talking about in terms of my trauma can heal your trauma. So how, within the scores of your participatory work, are you creating this exchange that becomes, a gift to the...
Yes, I mean that's definitely always the goal of every single piece. Like Sarah said, like my trauma, hopefully, like connect and heal the trauma. Like at the witching tree, those are creative, like create over like the crane, and then it's coming into like a 1,000 crane story in Japan, Japanese like a folk and like a story, like you writing the witch. I just have the audience like a writing witch in your paper, the red paper that you're about to like fall into the crane. So whatever that witch hope, I mean, sky is the limit. So however they want to share, so it will be put it on that tree. And I always like the tree still with me, and the birds without a wish and thought of the audience still with me. And I'm thinking like I'm just wanna this project to go somewhere. I have so many thought that how can I have these extend the idea um, to different venue, such as like I'm thinking of like children hospital in Chicago, Laurie. I knew some, I kind of volunteer as a parents volunteer for that project, and I wonder like that. I just want this to go somewhere. I wonder if they will be interested. They have a floor at all the activity, and this can go somewhere. The kid can fall, write a note. It should be kind of nice. So yes, to answer the question, like with the reset also, I hope that my openness of my how my soul, like a feel at a time. I'm not like myself, but I'm more like the soul of this person, and then express it out how I feel at the moment to connect with the story of like the audience can feel it as well, of frustration and angry, just kind of like it's good to kind of like let it out, to express it out instead of like keep it until you feel like you get into the deep dark, and that's not a good healthy. Yeah.
Yes, which goes, I think there's, going back to this, and that makes me think of like how these embodied exchanges, become this kind of alchemic physiological process of, of exchange with the audience. And I think this is what is so vital with live performance and in that embodied exchange becomes, we can reground. I've witnessed audience members of the public transfixed for hours watching your performances, watching other out of sight performances over the years. And so, there is this physiological exchange that happens that can become transformative in the process. And I think this is, I wondered what your thoughts were when you think about the difference between live and and live stream, because you've done lots of different ones with us over the years, and I wondered if you saw, were there similarities in that embodied exchange, or?
Ooh, that's a really good question in terms of like observe. I'm just pop in my mind, you know, with the outside like a work, just these two pieces. Put myself in your shoe and reset. It's I feel like the reset. I'm trying to imagine the reset inside, outside. Like if I can do reset outside, it will be completely different. Reset is much more like a theatricality, right? Like you, it's all come together and then it move me, or I hopefully like move the audience when you kind of like the setting inside, like, you know, square tight. It give you all kind of sensory, and then my emotion like kind of flowing because of that. However it is, I and then put myself in your shoe. I it's kind of like good, like because of the scenario itself is like happening like on the street. So I guess in a way it depends on the setting, but I feel like I hope it's I'm trying to set it like to connect to the audience, like a reset I created for for the stream, because we can't go out, right? Um, if it's, let's say that we do it for the public with the reset, I might just do it inside in the room somewhere when the audience coming in as a kind of like third person, and then, you know, like neighbor or whatever it is, like a kind of close, and then you just see what it is live, you know, happening. Um,
Well,
yeah.
you're giving me ideas for adapting reset to public space, actually, and how it can become interactive.
It's like,
Really advice.
I hope I answered the question. It was a really good question, and then, you know, like I, as much as I miss the community like outside, but I found it like I connect with the different level, you know, like I mean, with a different set that depends on how I decided, like, but it's still like connection. That's I hope.
Yes. And I think that's what's so powerful about your work, you know, is that, you know, physiological connection, whether it's in public space or through the live stream. We've got to, I don't know, are there any more questions from the audience? If you do have any more questions for Wannapa, please type them in the chat. And I would like to share with you all, so what we're hoping to do for the public performance symposia that we're organizing that starts on April 22nd. We've got an incredible group of international performance artists that we're bringing together. And, you know, we really hope we can create a conversation and through the workshops that we're providing, really train people to create public performances so that we can exit out of the lockdown and pandemic, you know, in healthy and constructive ways. and we're having, so that is the purpose. And I'm just going to play you a little video. And if you have any questions about the public symposia, tickets go live on April 1st. The first 40 tickets sold, those people will have priority in terms of the workshops, and because there's limited spaces of 20 in each workshop. And then we also have, people will be able to choose whatever lectures they wish to go to. So let me show you the video, and please type your questions about the public symposia in the chat. So in addition to providing these some amazing public performance workshops and lectures, we've also organized with Intellect Books to have 30% off of all public performance monographs for conference participants. So there's a lot of wonderful opportunities. And we have some comments in the chat from Megan Mobadix to Wannapa. Thanks for your work and vulnerability. And Sarah says, it's been an incredible time to hear you speak today, Wannapa. Love you.
Oh.
So we love you too. Thank you so much for joining us. And, just to summarize what we've talked about today, we've talked about how Wannapa draws on personal memories to create these participatory works that really, is thinking about carrying the memory of a trauma, but then transforming it so it becomes an enlightened and regrounding experience for the public, yet shares the story, shares these difficult stories. Out of Sight is really about going to these difficult places, but then when we go, when we talk, when we work through it, we can reach enlightenment. So really thinking about how physiological exchange can be part of that transformation. And yes, so we've got to the end of our conversation today, Wannapa. Do you have any afterthoughts that you would like to share?
I just want to thank you, everyone, to come in here and then hear me, like, it's like, like a little bit like heavy for the morning, but I think it's important. I hope it's, like kind of reach out to our friends that kind of like on the edge and keeping too much stuff in there, because I just want to say thank you and sending love to you all and hang in there. So thank to our offsite too, because this is always be a really great, wonderful venue to connect with the people. And you can hear like my daughter start to vocalize. I think, and one more thing, when you talking about the beginning about a woman, and violence, and I just want to, my condolences to that, and then in terms of like Asian community, and also in the British incident as well. Yeah, my thought and pray. I know it's easy to say that, but I just mean it. And I hope to reflect something on the piece, in the performance, in my work. Yeah.
Yes. So thank you all for tuning in today. And yes, I hope. And next week, I will be in conversation with Sophia Kidd and Sophia Kidd. So I'm going to be in conversation with Sophia about my practice and her practice. So I'm really looking forward to that conversation. I do hope you can join us. We're every Saturday at 11:15 a.m. And thank you all for tuning in and joining us today. And if you do wish to attend the conference, tickets go live on April 1st. And look forward to seeing you all soon. Okay, bye-bye.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Thank you.